Welcome everyone back to our show. My name is Kubri Love. As you know, I am your girl. Today we have our special guest with us, Neil Serieux. He is a poet and he's also part of the Dao Art Poetry group. But today we're going to talk more about you as a poet, yes? And let me start off. How are you doing today?
Good day, I feel great.
Awesome.
I'm happy to be here.
Nice. And I think we've met before at various functions. I think I saw you perform a few poems. My favorite was The Dog.
All dogs go to heaven. All
dogs go to heaven. That one definitely left something with me because I was like, the hook had me. I killed a dog. I was like, what? No!
Yeah, it was an unfortunate experience.
Oh, so it actually happened?
Yes, it was based on true events. Unfortunately, I was driving along the Loba Road, so it's actually not far from here. And there's this puppy, and unfortunately I didn't see it. So I actually ran over it by accident, of course. And that experience inspired me to write a piece. So I wrote a piece not too long after.
I find that very interesting how poets and different artists work. It's like no matter what kind of experiences you go through, you're able to shape it into art and give it a different meaning. Give it a second life, so to speak.
Yes. Very, very well said, because for me, I'm a lover of dogs, and I mean, it was an accident, so it wasn't intentional, but it left a scar. It left a scar, and I felt that there was a part of me, and apart from the whole experience, that I needed to share. I know other people would probably resonate. There are other persons, even if they're not lovers of animals like myself, but they would be able to draw something from that experience. So I'm happy that it did impact me positively, I presume.
Well, it started pretty sharp, but it ended with a change of tone.
Yes.
So the ending probably was the better part rather than the starting.
Yes. Well, all thanks to the arts. So I'm really grateful for this avenue that I now have. It's actually a healthy way that I could express myself. It started a pretty long time ago. I started by putting my thoughts down on paper. Okay. Yes, I did have a diary. Okay, from my earlier days, I did put my thoughts down on a diary. I used to write about my daily experiences or impactful experiences that I had. I used to put them down. I used to write them down on paper.
Wow. That's not common, you know, that you hear guys having diaries. You know, they probably call it, you know, journals. You know, guys have toys, you call them dolls, and they say it's not a doll, it's an action figure. But you're bold about it. Yeah,
well, right now I am. Before it was a little secret of mine. I was in my little private space. But there was a part of me that actually, there was a fire burning inside of me. And I could make reference to a piece that my sister has in her book entitled My Life Interpreted. And she has a piece entitled When the Little Voice in You is Screaming. And there's this little voice in me that has been screaming for a long time. I'm actually looking for this way that I can fully express myself. I don't know, I felt caged in a lot of ways, you know, emotionally, as it relates to experiences and relationships, and even in self-expression, and how bold I was, how confident I was. So in a number of ways, I felt caged, or I felt restricted, and art has really been that outlet for me. So
you started expressing it from a young age, writing it down. Now that you're older, you've become more developed in your craft, that kind of thing.
Yes, so it has been translated into spoken word. Who knows, it may, I don't know, music, drama, you never know. But it's a start. So again too, it's part of my life journey because it started out as a little shameful experience, and right now it's something that I could freely share.
Definitely. Alright, so I believe we recently had Liz on the show, and she was mentioning about how she started off with a diary and that kind of thing.
Oh, really? Okay.
So that is very interesting. I believe she is one of the founders of Dao Art as well.
Yes, so it's Liz, Philip, and my cousin Serieux as well. It was an idea that Liz brought forth to Kishma and myself, but again, it's like consciousness, like minds. Right? When Liz brought up the idea, we're like, It's something that we've been looking forward to for a long time. We all started our poetry journey at Head Funk, which is a similar movement in Castries, and it was very difficult, as you can imagine, to attend an event all the way in Castries. I mean, we're working people, we have our own responsibilities. But nonetheless, we all had that thirst, right? That hunger for this space, so where we could share. And not only that, we also had a shared vision of how impactful it could be to other members of the community.
Definitely.
So we, again, not deviating from what currently exists, but we say you now have an option where you don't necessarily have, it doesn't necessarily have to be the bars or the karaoke or the pools, or you can do that.
A different outlet.
Something different or something in addition to, right? And definitely this is positive, it's something positive. Something positive and something that will definitely have a positive impact to come.
Yes, and I've been to a few shows as well. I think the 2 or 3 times I came, I saw different faces there as well.
Yes.
So, what is it, like an open mic?
Right. Okay. Very good question. So again, given that we formed Thou Art, it is like a community where we are open to like minds. We're open to like creatives, other persons who, like ourselves, who are looking for a space to express themselves. We find some people are either limited to their own diaries, their own bedrooms, their own bathrooms, their own mirrors. So we say it may be that they were like myself, that there was a little voice inside, a little fire, yeah, exactly, screaming. So Thou Art and the Head Funk and anywhere else, if we could present that outlet to persons, and you may never know that just by doing that you may save a life. Definitely. Or you may save lives to come.
Sharing that human experience and having something so other people can relate to, for sure. Yeah. Which brings me to ask, who or what inspires you to do what you do? When did you get started, that kind of thing?
Okay, so again, good question. For me, there is no one thing or one person, but it started a long time ago. I grew up in a musical family. My mother is a retired music teacher. So growing up, there was a lot of instruments, and she specialized in voice training, so there was a lot of high-pitched screaming and you know, so I grew up, a lot of that. Now, sometimes it was a bit much coming from school and having to listen to this and that instrument and having to go to different shows, but I grew into it. I really interested in the local drums, also an interest in the bass guitar, and also the clarinet. But as I grew older...
No singing. Why no singing?
I don't know, that never worked out.
Did any of you picked up from it at least?
Yes, my younger brother Nelson, Nelson Serieux, he right now goes by the stage name Landlord. Prior he went by the name Cherry L or Cherry Lips. So he started singing, and he has been doing big things with his music. So he's presently in Florida. He has continued with his music. He has a clothing brand, Hip Walk. So that's one person who took the music and he moved forward with it. I have an older brother, Lon, who had a CD, released Costone Music. He released one CD. He's no longer interested in music. I have an older sister, Wanda Octave, that's married to him. She is, she wrote a book actually entitled My Life Interpreted. And that book, I actually wrote a few of my pieces. They were actually inspired from her writing, and the writing is based on her own life experiences. So it's entitled My Life Interpreted. So she's writing about how she learned life lessons through her everyday life experiences.
So you had like inspiration everywhere?
All over. But especially with that book, what I really drew from that, it was that she right now is freely sharing her life experiences. These are things that are dear to us.
Sure.
These are experiences we hold very dear. We grew up exactly, and some of them are not necessarily pleasant experiences or comfortable experiences. So for one person to freely share their experiences and saying, hey, it doesn't matter the nature of the experience, but this is what I drew from it.
Yes.
This is the impact that it had on me. So I'm like, if I have, this is part of my story and this is what it did to me, this is how it resonated, how impactful it was to me, it can be to somebody else. So I actually wrote 2 pieces or 3 pieces from her writing, and we spent a lot of time together, myself and Wanda. We spoke a lot about life and writing and just our own personal journey. She was actually the one who introduced me to Head Funk. I actually went to Head Funk to support her. So that was before the commencement of my poetry journey. Okay. I started my diary, yes, but it had nothing to do with poetry. There was no interest.
It out, what you were thinking, what you were feeling.
So I actually started out going to support her because she used to do spoken word, she used to do drama. She has a daughter, Kelsey, who was very involved in the music as well. She plays the piano, she sings. Oh, she sings, right? So she sings, but not commercially, but then she can sing. Wanda can sing as well, not commercially, but so again, as you mentioned, it started out from the family. We moved on to Head Funk, and it was at Head Funk that I actually saw Liz perform. And I was really moved seeing Liz perform because the first time I saw her on stage, I was like, I know her, and I didn't know she did poetry. I was like wow, you know? So immediately I walked up to her and I was like, wow, I'm completely amazed to see her on there. And you know, I was asking about her journey, and she was telling me, yeah, you know, you should probably get on stage and do something. And I was like, no, I shouldn't. You know, it was nothing to do with shyness, right? Or being that good. It was nothing like that. But I just didn't feel moved to. I didn't feel that's what my journey was about. And I mentioned my diary writing, and she was like, hey, but this is a start. You know, you should go out and you should share. And I spoke to my sister about it, and I continued to write. And
look at you now.
Yeah.
The stage is like your second home.
Yes.
You get on the stage and it's like a whole different person. Because I'm speaking to you now and you seem so calm, so chill. But then when you performing, you loud and you giving the other side that people don't normally see.
Yes, you're so right about that, because I remember after our first Head Funk, the art event, I turned a lot of heads. A lot of persons are like, oh, I didn't know you did poetry.
Probably see you walking in the area and they're like, oh, you know, he's going to work, he's going to do his stuff. But then they saw this like, whoa. Yeah, totally different side. But I'm happy about that, I'm comfortable with that. I'm gone are the days where that would have been an issue. Especially when it came to the writing aspect, it assisted me a great deal, because that first piece that I wrote after speaking to Liz and my sister, it was entitled Be Yourself. And Be Yourself was a testimonial. This was about my own journey, and this spoke about some of the challenges that I went through as a young guy. So let's look at the leap that we're talking about. We're talking about a young guy as a diary. We're not letting that one go. We gotta make it comfortable, normalize it in here.
It's fine.
It's okay.
It's okay. And actually sharing his journey or his life story, or sharing experiences that normally persons would keep very close to heart. They'll keep very dear to them, they would not share. And there was just something about it. It's just the passion. Abraham Hicks says, follow your bliss, you know, follow what moves you. And there's something about it, that little voice inside that kept screaming.
Well, we're hearing it now.
I finally listened to. So I am forever grateful to my sister and to Liz and to Kishma and to everybody else who really builds on this space, on this movement that we are trying to create. So we are actually encouraging anybody, all creatives who have that same fire within, that same voice, and you're looking for an outlet. I mean, we are in no way competing with Head Funk. I mean, Head Funk has a similar vision, but they're in the north.
Just creating more spaces where persons can feel safe, can express, and that kind of thing.
Definitely a supportive space. Definitely one where we are looking at creating other avenues where people could grow in all aspects of their life. So I'm really happy to be part of the Dawat experience, and I'm actually looking forward to sharing more.
Again, we're looking forward to seeing more of your work independently. You meant I don't think you have a stage name as yet.
No, for now I go by my government name, Neil Serieux. I don't have a stage name.
So hopefully after this, soon after this, by the time this releases, we're gonna see a stage name. We're gonna have at least 1 or 2 poems out here on YouTube or Instagram, whichever one that you choose, yeah?
Yes, I'm actually looking forward to that. I mean, presently I don't have any of my material on my social media platforms, but it's something I'm looking forward to do.
Definitely.
I do have at least 8 to 10 completed pieces and 12 to 15, if not more, skeletons. Not in the closet though, but pieces that I'm presently working on. I don't necessarily have a timeline that takes me to create a piece. Again, I work primarily on inspiration, right?
So do you freestyle?
Well...
Or like on the spot, just pour out and...
I have tried that. I'm actually grateful to Liz because she's really been helping me. She actually, that was before I was on Instagram. She invited me onto Instagram to take part of this poetry page where they would release different themes and we would write at least 4 lines or something like that. So I was like, oh, I can't do that.
Something just to keep you the ball rolling.
Right. So I was like, I could never write like that. That's not how I write. The way I write is when I get different bouts of inspiration, I write it down on, I have post-its. So I write it on a post-it or I put it on the notes in my phone, I put it on the computer. So it starts out as one big blob and then I edit. So I've never been able to write based on a theme or freelance. But I did attempt it one time in that group and it went pretty well. I believe the theme was on nature and I did 4 lines and I was like, that's good. That's good.
Developing, growing, that kind of thing, that's awesome.
And a very important one is challenging yourself.
For sure.
Okay, because before I've never done it, so I never wanted to attempt it.
You know, kind of your comfort zone is where we're aiming for.
Definitely. And again, creating a positive space, surrounding yourselves with persons who encourage you and support you, and that's what happened with Liz. So our relationship started a very long time ago. I see her as my poetry guru. I look to her for advice and for support, and I'm actually very close to Kishma. We share a lot of our material and we're actually looking to grow this thing. So this is not just about 3 of us coming together and trying to get the spotlight. No, this is the 3 of us. We coming together and looking forward to growing the movement.
Definitely, I understand. That's awesome. So you say that you have post-its and it has it's like a blog, right?
Yes.
So you write down and then you put it together like a puzzle piece?
Yes, so that's kind of my style. It's how I started with my diary, because that's what the diary is all about, right? You write based on your experience, you write based on your journey.
So you kind of see what you experience, so it's like a mirror.
Right, so, but certain things, right? What I write, so how it's different from the diary, so it's like, I actually write down what resonates with me. So the way my mind works, I don't know if anybody else works like that or if that's their method. So let's just say I'll have an experience. So for example, the dog experience, I did not have to write down everything about that dog experience. I just had to write down 1 line. I ran over a dog. Once I would go over that, I'll go over the post-it on my notes, everything would come back. Okay. You know, I should have really used that to study, you know. Why did it work that way? You know, I would have probably excelled in my exams.
Yeah, I had a similar studying method, right? So I would take everything in and then write whatever I remembered from that. Right, but then seeing that short paragraph, not paragraph, points. Seeing the short points is like, I remember what I had to think about to write that point down. So like I write it, if I had like a blank paper, I just write points here, points down there, and kind of fit them all together like a puzzle.
Here it is. I don't know how weird this is gonna sound. Do you know about Sudoku, the puzzle game?
Sure.
I get inspired by Sudoku.
But Sudoku is kind of like numbers.
Right, don't worry about the numbers. But picture Sudoku as this giant puzzle, right? Obviously. But I'm just saying, at first it looks pretty weird, right? I mean, you're lost and you have to come up with this number sequence so that no two numbers are in the same block, and and everything flows. So at first it's a bit confusing, especially to the untrained eye, right?
For sure.
But then what you realize by playing Sudoku, that even if you would try to get a number or two in a cell, it does not necessarily have to be an adjacent cell, just some cell in the game. It actually opens up the door to some other cell, right? So it's kind of like life, right? You kind of take the first step and something else opens up.
And so it fits where it has to.
Exactly. So that's what happens with me. What I've realized is, when I get different bouts of inspiration, one could be about a dog, it could be about a cat, it could be about a cloud or anything else. And I just put it in this one blog, and when I get to editing, I don't know, something sparks, and I am able to...
Well, I think that definitely explains the way you deliver as well.
Yeah.
Right? Because from what I have seen, it's like you come with this hook.
Yeah.
It definitely leaves you in awe, because with the dog, like you said, you started it saying, I killed the dog.
Yeah.
Sitting in the audience, you hear somebody say that, you're like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
It definitely makes you want to hear the rest, hear more, and then you give the story and you flow into it in whichever method, because I think different poems have different patterns and stuff like that.
Yes.
But it definitely makes more sense hearing your explanation of it.
Yes. And while I am actually delivering the piece, I mean, obviously you're in yourself, right? You're actually going through the experience again. So in a sense, it assists in getting you more comfortable with the experience or being more at peace with it. And again, I'm very eager to share too, because I know other people have had like experiences, or there's some people who may feel uncomfortable or uneasy about a like experience. And what I like about the whole poetry aspect or arts aspect is, especially when you're on stage and you deliver your piece, it actually encourages active listening, because here right now, as you mentioned, I started my piece, it was just one line and I had to keep attention. I took you to a place or to places that you have probably never been or have not been in a long time. So
the audience is experiencing that journey with you.
It's that helps, and again too, it helps you develop your craft, and it's a form of inspiration. So at every event that I go and every time I have fellow artists, I try my best to be present. So I pay particular attention to what is being said. I pay particular attention to how it is delivered, and in many instances, I see that same fire inside of all of them. I hear that same voice. But guess what? There's an outlet. It's no longer caged, it's no longer restricted. Now, this is not to say that everyone should, sing poetry or, move to the arts.
It's just one of the many.
Right, it's one of the many. I mean, Esther Hicks said, follow your bliss. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but again, follow what moves you, follow what drives you.
Yeah, and then things will fall into place and it will find you, because you already started writing on your diary, right? You didn't know you needed that space, but now that you got that space, you started feeling so much better.
Yes.
And that is what we as artists would love to do, always creating more and more spaces where other growing and evolving artists can come and share that human experience.
Yes. That's very well said, and I remember Kishma saying to me once that artists, we are the weirdos, and the reason why she said that is that's how we are viewed by persons, because usually artists, we have different hobbies, we have different dress styles, sometimes we have different eating habits, just our entire lifestyle is different, and for the most part, it deviates from our normal method of socialization. So we appear weird talking to other people. I think you could
just look at an artist and be like, okay, you do some kind of art, whether it's painting, videos, photography, you do something, like you could see it. But then again, they are able to find those spaces to feel more comfortable to be more of themselves, to be
Yes.
able to show that. Because, like you said, the first time that you performed in your home community,
Yeah.
persons were shocked because
Yes.
what they were accustomed of seeing
Yes.
was this calm, chill guy. But then, I'm sure if you ask anybody who saw you that night and ask them about you now, you're probably moving more to being outspoken and
Yes.
showing that kind of the side that people don't normally see.
Yes, yes, you're just right about that, and that's one of the things that I want to encourage too, because what you find is we find, especially with the spoken word aspect, is predominantly male. So we have more persons playing musical instruments, and we have singers, but I would be primarily the main male figure doing spoken word, and then again, socialization. I'm sure there are many guys out there who would like to come up to the mic and share their views or speak about their journey, but I don't know another guy around who tell you he has a diary.
Well, that's why you come in to be able to mentor somebody else coming up. It doesn't have to be necessarily young, but it could be a grown person too.
Yes, you're right.
Right?
You're right.
But then we want to see more males, whether it's young or older, having a space where they feel comfortable to express their emotions and their feelings in a positive way.
And this is what our art is about. This is what I believe Head Funk is about. These are shared visions that we have. Shared visions. This is all about creating a space for persons,
definitely.
and it's a safe space. I'm sure persons have no problem with sharing. I don't think that's the problem with sharing, I guess, on a one-on-one basis, but sharing to the world. I think that's what the issue is. There's still that hurdle that they have to overcome. So I'm not going to say that it's as a result of maturity or anything of that sort. I mean, we all have our own journey, right? And you will know when the time is right. But what I will tell you is, when that little voice inside you is screaming, you got to listen.
Yeah, and don't always wait till everything is aligned for you to be able to step out.
Right.
Sometimes, like Sudoku, you have to start with something.
Start with something,
and then it will just get the ball rolling.
Yes, it does not necessarily have to be directly related to what you're doing right now, but then
because you started with supporting.
My sister.
Your sister was in the thing. You were supporting her. You're becoming part of the community without even noticing it.
Yes.
You were reading the books, writing stuff related to it, and then that was your start.
Yes.
And then you being present in an environment that was open to something like that.
Yes.
I guess got the ball rolling for you.
Right. So then we see the value in it, right? So prior to my engagement with those persons or going to these events, I mean, for no fault of mine, I didn't know, right? So you can't blame other persons, maybe they're just not aware. So because of experiences like this, and then right now, more persons are beginning to be aware of what's available, different spaces. I mean, it's free in terms of invitation, persons are free to come and share their journey, share their material. I believe we're taking a big step towards just a total evolution of society, just evolution of like minds, just evolution of beings, of like space, just I would say a refinement, if I would say, of our socialization process, right? Because we're all stuck with one particular way of doing things. If you look at our educational system, then it's limited to just the theoretical aspect, there are no necessary room for development of artists.
We need to normalize, both males and females having things like diaries.
Yeah, well, again, a diary or something, some other method of output. Like, you have to find some way to express yourself. It has to come in some form, and then we have to place emphasis on it. So it's not just about saying, "Oh, you feel that way, maybe you should write it down," or just limit it to a diary. So, for example, we would find, hypothetically speaking, let me just give an example. Like, let's just say a country like Jamaica. Look at how well they're doing with athletics, or how well they're doing in their music. I'm sure it didn't start by saying, the artist, okay, so you don't know what to do, or you're not performing well, so go and run. Yeah, I'm saying yes, that's one way. But then it's one thing if you're running, if there's no support for running, if there's no finance focused on the running aspect, you understand, if there are no avenues available for you to participate in local and regional and international sports, so there has to be that support. Definitely. And that's what we're talking about, refinement. I'm talking about, let's go back and do things differently, or let's expand what's happening. Okay, it's not happening, okay, we're not going back. It's not happening. We're taking what exists and we're expanding it. Right? So right now, there are limited avenues or no avenues for artists. Let's create them.
Definitely.
And again, what we're doing is we're taking one step, right? So look, right? We take one step
and we go with it.
So that's where my thought process is. And this is the vision, and these are the views and beliefs that are shared by the other founders of Our Art and Head Funk, and I believe yourself. So I am very grateful when I meet a fellow artist, and I try my best to invite them into my space. And one of the things that I practice, and I am very, very mindful of it, that whenever I'm in the space with any fellow artist, I am totally present.
Definitely.
Or I try my best to be as present as possible. Okay, because again, this is all part of the growth process, and I gain inspiration from them. And for me, one of the areas that I am particularly working on is my delivery. So I pay attention to how each artist delivers, and I guess I do criticize. I have a little judgment based on how they go ahead and perform. But what I've realized in a lot of cases is I could hear the voices. I could actually see myself at that point in my journey where I wanted an outlet. So it's this point of freedom, like if I were to compare myself to an animal, I would say it's a butterfly.
Oh wow!
All right, and then the reason why a butterfly is we're looking at this growth evolution, and once you're in the cocoon stage, for most of us, when we go through this process, there's this point of introspection. Sometimes we spend a lot of time alone. We spend a lot of time revisiting past decisions, revisiting past ideas and beliefs, revisiting how we were socialized, and through no fault of our parents. I mean, they were only taught what they were taught, and sometimes we may have to revisit some of those beliefs. We may not have like beliefs, or we may not have the same goals and desires as them, because sometimes our educational pursuits were based on their dreams and goals, their ideas for their, exactly. So again, I'm referring that to the cocoon process. And well, anyway, before we get to the cocoon, so we say the caterpillar. So you're actually walking or going along your journey, and then you turn into the cocoon. And then when you actually branch out and you become the butterfly, then the sky's the limit, right?
Sure.
So another thing too is, what you will notice about a butterfly is, if you try to hold a butterfly or try to keep a butterfly, you're actually harming it, right? Because when you let it go, you realize that, right? So that's why, guys, butterfly is supposed to be admired from a distance. Allow the butterfly to be. So if I were to compare myself to an animal, so maybe butterfly could, or some aspect of butterfly, that would be my station. I'm going to work on that butterfly. So for me, a twist of it, but butterfly has a lot to do with it. I originally had reservations about tattoos. I did not want to mark my skin. I felt that my natural scars and bruises are my tattoos. I was totally against anything foreign in my skin, but right now I have 2 tattoos.
Say about it again.
Okay, so this one is self-explanatory based on the journey that I mentioned. You have the caterpillar, you have the cocoon, okay, and this is the butterfly, and this is a horizon. So, the sky's the limit, right? Endless possibilities. So I'm saying the butterfly should be admired from a distance. Just enjoy me in my own space, allow me to be as I soar to greater heights. So this was in October, and this was in December. So this one, yes, Caterpillar, Journey Again, But this one is a different vision. So I had a vision again. I actually had this painted. And then the painting is a bit more descriptive in that there's a bit more detail, but I'll try. So pretty much this is the second tattoo that I mentioned, and of course it couldn't be that descriptive on my skin. I mean, because of what I was really trying to represent. The dark outline kind of shows the journey that I'm mentioning, you coming out of the darkness into the light. So there's a search for the light, salvation, whatever that is. So this is the caterpillar, as we mentioned, and this is the growth process. And then you could decide, you know, you get to make decisions whether, you know, you continue to move towards, I mean, some things appear to be our right path, or sometimes, I mean, for no fault of ours, you know, circumstances, life, you know, we sometimes make decisions that don't have a necessarily good outcome, or things don't turn out the way we believe it would, and this is what we show in there. Like, it's like a figurative death, right? That you move toward the light, but then this is like an artificial light, and that's pretty much what a light bulb is, right? It's artificial, it's man-made light. So again, if you look here, we continue along with our journey, moving towards the light. And what we realized that the light that we were actually looking for actually exists in us. And as you can see, this is our inner light illuminating, right? So we actually find throughout this journey that it should have never been that big of a comprehensive journey anyway. But then sometimes that's what it takes, right? Sometimes you have to get burnt for you to learn, right? Some people say sometimes you have to drown to learn how to swim, right? So then you realize that the light you found was actually depicted in you. So that's what I tried my best to highlight on my skin. So for now, it's only 2 tattoos. I don't know if I'm gonna go down that road again.
Right. So, like you said, when you're ready for something, it comes to you.
Yes.
I believe we just came up with your stage name, right?
Butterfly.
I'm thinking probably Lucian butterfly,
okay,
or butterfly, or moth, or something of the sort.
What I'm thinking is maybe I could think of maybe an African or some foreign definition of a butterfly, like, you know, a name, you know, something different, or try to find some link to the journey or the process. I don't know. It will come, because this came to me, right? It's not something. And when I got the tattoos done, I was at that particular stage in my life. You understand? And it was so timely that at that point it was my birthday, and I wanted to get to the tattoo parlor. And when I did get there, because I was so busy moving about, he was closed. And then I said, hey, it's my birthday and I really wanted to get a tattoo, and he told me what I wanted to get done. And when I mentioned it to him, and then he gave me the sketch, I was like, oh, you're good.
This is exactly what you wanted.
Yeah, and then he was like, you know, it's your birthday, I'm gonna do it for you.
Awesome.
You know,
so you heard him here first, okay? Neil Serieux, soon to be Butterfly, Lucian Butterfly, one of them. Alright, and before he leaves, he's going to be performing 2 of his spoken word pieces for you, for us, so you can get a little snippet about that. He writes as much as he performs. So if you need him to be performing at any show, event, if you want him to write something for you to perform, feel free to hit him up on Instagram. Or you
can hit me up on Facebook. It will be happy to hear from you. I'm happy to share, happy to meet you. And I'm going to share with you my very first piece entitled Be Yourself, and I'm going to share with you the favorite of our host here, All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yes.
So enjoy. Be yourself. I've realized why I felt trapped, why I never felt free, was quite simply due to conformity. You see, I always wanted expensive clothes, expensive shoes, the latest cell phone, and my pockets filled with money. Even if it meant lying to myself, playing fictitious roles, and huge credit card bills monthly. What others thought of me mattered more than anything else. Their validation was paramount to my sense of self. It was not till I realized that nothing external could ever provide true happiness. Only temporary pleasure mirrored by amplified stress. I needed to be careless and take better care of me. Don't get me wrong, I'm using a different definition from the dictionary. Care less what others do, what they think and what they say. Care less about their problems and stresses. Make more time to play. I know that you probably think that I make little or no sense, but I'm merely looking at life through a different lens. So do yourself a huge favor and take better care of yourself, please. Because anxiety, guilt, and resentment all spread through your body faster than any disease. Love yourself, always and in all ways. Dress to express, not to impress, because it is only you who's responsible for your happiness. Be aware of the media and the ideals it would portray. Don't try to be a Rihanna or a Christian Grey. Know that true joy cannot be sought, because it comes from within. Stop micromanaging life. Instead, start enjoying. Pay more attention to your life. Slow down. Have some patience. Listen to that soft inner voice. Trust it. It's your true essence. Believe in yourself and in all that you can do. There could only be one you, and there's a reason for that too. Thank you. All dogs go to heaven. I killed a dog last night. I ran over it by accident. After the initial screams, I braked and swerved to the left to avoid it. But unfortunately, that was the move that sealed it. 8 loud screams, then total silence, his eyes and mouth wide open. A look of fear and confusion still in his eyes, that at such a young age, he met his demise. It broke me down and I felt so guilty. Why didn't he run away? Why didn't he see me? I couldn't sleep that night. But that little puppy woke me up at about 2:45, with a halo around his head like he just rose from the dead. And he just had one request, that I share his life story through poetry. I, little doggy, died at the age of 3 months. Not old enough to experience life much, but I did get to see how you humans treat we. If not for animal showcasing, drug sniffing, or scientific experimenting, it's crossbreeding, property guarding, or backyard fighting. We ain't just loafing. But how dare you take a wild animal out of its comfort zone, breed it and strip it of its offsprings and call them your own? I wonder how my mama lived through that kind of trauma, restricted to a cage, confined to a chain, and occasionally tied to a tree. But yet, you humans complain of mental slavery? And some of you selfishly live as dogs without a mate. The females you spay and the males you castrate. Huh. Poor job, mommy. What a bittersweet reality. Maybe it's because she was born a mongrel, and it's culturally acceptable that people don't treat them well. Things aren't always as they seem on color TV. Not all dogs get treated like family, like that rough collie dog Lassie. And look, now she lost me. Why don't you end this injustice? Why don't you free me? Why don't you see me? You owe me that dignity. And if you're not going to make dogs your companion, please don't buy, adopt, or domesticate one. And if we're not going to get the time, love, and attention that you give to a child, please admire us from a distance and leave us at peace in the wild. And Neil, please don't feel guilty. as you did your very best to save me. The pain is no more, I will rise again once more, in the next life, wild and free. Thank you. Enjoy.
Alright, thank you for coming again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Click the notification bell to hear more about our various Lucian artists. Alright?
I'm a Lucian butterfly.
Alright, thank you. Bye.